Welcome to lesson 6. Pause the video to have a go in your own time. A question might not be possible, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Let's have a look at my answer to this first one. You'll recognize this. We're going to do a sequence. Well, let's do this one first and I'll waffle. So that's going to be P equals 0 and or Q equals 0. Why? Because you've got two things multiplied together that equal 0. One of them has to be 0. And maybe both of them are 0. We're going to do a few in a row. We've done a few of these before. We're going to do a bunch in a row. It's like I think 6 of them. Just to look at a few different situations, just to get really comfortable with this idea, because this idea is very important as we go forwards. Okay, let's look at this one. 10 times something equals 0. Obviously, x equals 0. Because well, there's no other way that 10 times something is going to be 0. How about the next one? There's going to be a few ways to do this one. You could kind of multiply the brackets out, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to cover that here. Let's just go straight in with, this is 5 times something equals 0. So this something, that's got to be equal to 0. So that means that y minus 2 is 0. Well, so then that means that y must be 2. Because 2 minus 2 is 0. Are we okay with that? Excellent. I'm trying to kind of build the concept here. So I'm slightly loosening up my maths strictness just to kind of get our heads into this concept. Let's do the next one. This time we've got 3 things multiplied together that make 0, which means either x equals 0, wait a sec, and or y equals 0, and or z equals 0. Because they're 3 different numbers. Maybe they're all 0, or maybe just one of them is 0, or maybe two of them are 0. Let's do the next one. 2 numbers multiplied together, or 2 things multiplied together. Remember to pause the video, have a go in your own time before you start watching my answer. Well, x could be 0, and or what does y need to be to make the second thing equal to 0? Because we've got like thing 1. Of course, it's got to be equal to 3. Thing 2, which means that y is 3. It doesn't mean it is 3. X equals 0 and or y equals 0. Final one in this little kind of run of questions, which are all related, just to kind of really kind of get our head around this concept. Okay, what are the options here? Well, one of the 2 things needs to be 0. So t equals 4 would make the first bracket 0, because 4 minus 4 is 0. And or, we're saying and or because there's 2 different variables. Q could be 10. There we go. So some more drilling on what is a very, very important concept, and you can probably guess what's coming next. By lesson 6, you know how these roll. We've got more solve questions before we get on to the other stuff. Have a go at this in your own time. Pause the video. See you afterwards. The way I'm going to solve this is I'm going to use look the same. This is my approach where problem solving in maths is often good if you try and make things look the same. This thing on the left, I can't really change it. It's 2 with an x. So I wonder whether I can make the thing on the right look like 2 with a number above it. What number would go up here? 2 times 2 is, well, the answer is 4, which means that x equals 4. And if you don't believe me, and I'm just going to double check my answer as well, 2 times 2 is 4. If I were in an exam, I might do this. Because look how long this has taken me. 15 seconds? 15 seconds, I just guaranteed that mark. So I can now move on going, yep, definitely got the mark. Let's do the next one. It's another solve. There's a second equation, so hang on in there. Okay, that's it. I'll finish writing. Have a go in your own time. See you back here when you're finished. And the answer is not possible. Because, let's write because, there are 3 unknowns and only 2 equations. You'd need 3 equations, or you'd need 2 unknowns and 2 equations. Now remember the small print? I'm summarizing a very big thing in maths, which isn't quite that, but that's an excellent general rule which is going to work most of the time. Have a go at this in your own time. I've finished writing. I'm going to say by inspection. I think I forgot to say by inspection earlier. Well, hang on, let me just do this first. So you can skip forward to the next question if you want to. I'm just going to go back up here. I just want to point out something, which is here, I think I wish now that I'd written by inspection, just for completeness, because that's how we solved. We went, oh look, we've got a thing on the left and a thing on the right, and there's an equal sign, so they must both be the same, and therefore x must be equal to 4. And the way we say that in brief is we just say by inspection. This is obviously 0 because, well, there's a few ways of thinking about it. One way is you could just combine them and just say, well, then 3x equals 0 because x plus 3x. So you might then divide by 3. You go, oh, okay, x equals 0. Or I feel like you don't need to do that here. I think it's kind of sufficiently obvious. Now let's do a same to both sides. Which is going to be have a go in your own time. So my answer to this one would be, I'll just write it out first just to be careful. The answer is, I'll write it down here, 10x minus 5xy equals 3 minus x. And let's just look at y. That's x. These are x's. That's a type of object. That's a 5xy, which is a different thing. So you can't combine it with anything else. And here we've got a number. So there's 3 types of thing, and we just combine them. So now we've got the number. On each side we've collected the x's, and we've still got the xy there. That's a way to think about that. Next question. So this is a calculator. It's going to be a list of things to do. I'll tell you when I've finished writing them down. Okay, we're getting there, not quite there yet. That's it, I'm finished. So have a go in your own time. I'm just going to write the answers out and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. 4, 2. Right, skip to the next question if you want to. I'm going to waffle a bit now. This one, okay, listen. If you got this wrong, please, 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 please be more careful. I've seen so many students get this wrong and they're just like, oh, it's fine, I wouldn't normally make that mistake. And I'm like, well, you just did make the mistake. Right, 2 times 2 is 4. And then times that by 2 is 8. This is just 2 times 2, which is 4. 2 to the 1. Well, here's how some people find this difficult. The way I think about it is, well, 2 cubed, you have to write it down. You have to write down 1, 2. Oh, that's a confusing way to do it. You have to do 1, 2, 3 of them. When it's 2 squared, you have to do 2 of them. So when it's 2 to the 1, you just do 1 of them. So you write, oh, 2 to the 1. So that's 2. Oh, that's it. I've finished already. So that's why it's 2. I'm going to come back to this one here and explain why that's 1 in a minute. This one is, let's go with another color. That minus basically means flip. So it means turn the thing upside down. But you can't turn 2 upside down. Yeah, I agree with that statement. But you turn it into a fraction. That's what it is as a fraction. Now we can turn it upside down. So that's a half. There's still a 1. We haven't explained the 1 yet, have we? But remember, the 1 doesn't really have any effect, does it? I'm going to stop there. I feel like that's kind of enough learning on this one. But I just want to go back to the 1, and then I'm going to do one more thing I want to talk through. Because I feel like in every question you can only kind of do so much learning. So the learning point, the next learning point is, as I'm waffling, so I'm trying to find another color. Here we go. How do you get from here to here? You divide by 2. How do you get from here to here? You divide by 2. How do you get from here to here? You divide by 2. You see in the pattern yet? How do you get from here to here? You divide by 2. How do you get from here to here? You divide by 2. Because this is like a I think a lot of teachers say this, and I'm a big fan of it. This to me is the times table. Some teachers describe that other thing as the times table. To me, that's the adding table, the other one. This is a true times table because every time you go up 1, you times. Anyway, point is, oh look, so this must be 1. 2 to the 0 must be equal to 1, obviously, because if you divide the 2 to the 1 by 2, you get 1. And then what's a half divided by 2? It's a quarter. What's a length? Blah, blah, blah. There you go. There's some ideas. So that was a learning opportunity. I don't want to get too buried into it. In my book, actually, I've got more explanation and videos about indices if you want more detail about that. Or you could find other teachers' work as well. Find other inputs, different ideas. Have a go in your own time with that question. I've finished writing it. And the answers are, I'm just going to write the answers straight away. A equals 1 and B equals 1. Now I'm just going to look at how we answer that. I'm going to take these two equations and I'm going to say that makes A plus. Now I know that A is the same as B because of this equation here. So I can then write A equals 3. That works, doesn't it? So that means that 3A equals 3. Divide both sides by 3. A equals 1. And then I can say, well, now I know that A is 1. I mean, I'm really spelling this out, but I think it's a good way to do it. And if you're at university, you often have to do this if you're doing a maths degree, because you have to spell every step out. There we go. A equals 1, B equals 1. Solved. Let's look at the next one. We've got some calculates here. Oh, I just wrote that a bit messy. I'll just redo it. We've got 2 more. Hang on, we're nearly there. Okay, have a go in your own time. That was the 3. And the answers are these. I've already mentioned it. Remember that when we write square root, we're being lazy because for every other type of root, we always write the number. So that just means square root, and that means square root. And this one at the top, that means cubed root. Just briefly talk about that. That's like the opposite of cubed. So instead of saying what's the number multiplied by itself 3 times, you say what number would be multiplied by itself 3 times to make that number. Okay. And again, remember, these tutorials are designed for you to learn from, but then equally, because we're covering so many topics in one little kind of tutorial, there's going to be the odd thing which maybe you don't quite understand. That's fine, and maybe the explanation isn't quite enough, so then that's like a little learning point that you can work on. I'm going to do the lines in a different colour. So for each of these 3 graphs, I'd like to know what is the graph, what's the rule. Have a go in your own time, and there's a bonus lesson about this as well. And welcome back. This one is, I've got to be really careful when I do this, I don't get it wrong, so I really concentrate here. Okay, got it. Why is this one y equals x? Because, look, any single point that I pick on this line, all of them have the same value of y. Can you see the x value is changing? So here maybe x is 1. I'm just picking random numbers. Here maybe x is 4. Here maybe x is minus 4. So x is clearly changing, so y is the one that's fixed. Same argument here. The other way around means that x is the thing that isn't changing. You may well, if you're being like super crafty, you might have written something like y equals kx. That's fine. I'm just keeping it simple. I'm just saying, well, it looks like y equals x. We'll call it y equals x at this level. I've got 3 calculates here. So once I've written the 3 out, you can pause the video and have a go in your own time. Well, I'm sure that some speedsters are just kind of keeping up with me as I go, but that's going to be if you're like really on top of this particular topic or something. Or maybe I'm just writing slowly sometimes. Okay, have a go in your own time. Right, I've got to be really careful I get these correct. That's 3/4. That's right. Do you know what? I can't. I'm going to have to do this one properly. Right. So that is the same as 2/10. 1/5 the same as 2/10. That's 3/10. That was me just giving you the answers quickly, so that you can check your answers. Now you're going to, I guess, stick with me if you want an explanation. This first one, I don't think I could do it a bit more thoroughly. I could say 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 is 3/3, which is equal to 1. There you go. That works. Another way is, I don't think you'd have to show that working. I think it's sufficiently obvious. You could just think in your head, right, well, I've got 1/3, a second third, and a third third, which obviously makes a whole. So that's that one. 1/4 plus a half, I wouldn't do that straight away. I would say that's 1/4 plus 2/4, because I want the denominators to be the same. Because what's an elephant plus a giraffe? I don't know. Eliraf? I don't know. But what's 1/4 plus 2/4? Yeah, so what's 1/4 plus a half? I don't know. I'm gonna have to like do extra work into my head, which I don't like doing in maths. What's 1/4 plus 2/4? Well, that's obviously 3/4. We just know that. Let's make the denominator the same just to make the maths safer. And I've already done that here. You witnessed me panicking and thinking, I can't do this in my head. I just want to be absolutely. Because the thing is, when you're teaching maths, you have to be a bit more careful. You don't make mistakes. It's like doing an exam all the time, and blah blah blah. You should be practicing for exams all the time. So really, you should be doing as careful as me all the time. Anyway, I think I dug myself out of that hole. Right, 1/10 plus 2/10 is 3/10. That works, doesn't it? Let's do the next question. This is an expand question. Have a go in your own time. And the thing is, 7 is touching the bracket, so there's an invisible times sign, which means it's multiplying the whole thing, which means it's multiplying everything inside, each of the individual items inside the bracket, which ends up being 7x plus 21. I'm not going to go into that anymore here, but there's other videos on my channel about that. My book goes into that a bit more. I can't spell. It's because I'm trying to talk at the same time. Okay, factorize. Have a go in your own time. Got to find something they both have in common, because factorize basically means this. It doesn't strictly speaking mean this. I'm simplifying at this stage, but let's just say that's what it means. Oh, there's a 2 in common, so that'd be x plus 4. I'll just write that neater, more neatly. There we go. Now we've got the last question for this lesson. Video, tutorial. I'm never really sure what to call it. It's a calculate question. There's going to be 4 of them. That's the lot. Did I say 4? I think I said 4. I meant 8. Right, so that's the 8. So I'll give you a chance to pause again if you paused after 4. Okay, and the answers are 1, minus 1, minus 1, 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1, 1. That'll do. That's just really just to point out. Remember that the divide thing with minus and plus ones is exactly the same as the times thing. I think that's a technical explanation. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.